and welcome. I am Joy, Pink Girl Teaches, and I thank you so much for pressing play and spending some time out of your day with me. To all the new subscribers, I want to thank you so much for deciding to be part of this community. You could be anywhere else, but you're here. And so I welcome you and I thank you. And to everybody who is coming back, hey everybody, I hope that you are well and that you are taking care of yourself and that you are staying narc free. It's great to have you as part of this community, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So today I'm going to be talking to you about daughters of narcissistic fathers. When a girl has a fulfilling relationship with her father, she tends to have emotionally intimate, healthy relationships and doesn't turn to boyfriends or men for emotional support or comfort. You find that these women make wiser decisions in regards to when to have sex, who to have sex with, and overall their relationships are much healthier, and they tend to marry people who are more compatible with them, as well as have longer lasting marriages. There's no way that we can deny this. We can't hide the fact that fathers do have an impact on the quality of their daughters' relationships. However, we're dealing with a narcissist here. So how does that work? What does it look like? How do you overcome this situation when you have been raised by a narcissistic father? What a narcissistic father, should I say, would do to their daughters is they tend to subject them to hypercriticism. They have incredibly high standards for the daughter, which really are very difficult to fulfill. And so she'll struggle to always reach the goals that he sets for her, but never quite reaches the goal. And this is because the narcissist is notorious for shifting the goalposts. So it's almost impossible. In fact, not even almost, but it's impossible for her to attain whatever goal is in front of her. And as a result, you find that these daughters tend to self-sabotage, and they struggle with their identity, as well as have low confidence or low self-esteem. You know, their sense of self is eroded in their childhood, and their identity becomes disfigured, as well as they have negative programming from their narcissistic father, which results in, it manifests in the form of insults, name calling. They're always belittling their daughters. And what happens is these girls begin to internalize this criticism and become hyper focused on their flaws. And they're unable to make decisions. They doubt themselves. They doubt their abilities, their assets, their capabilities, as well as their capacity. And so they're taught from a young age to second guess themselves. And she's continually scrutinizing her talents, her appearance, her potential, as well as aspirations. And from that point on, she has been programmed to self-destruct in relationships. And this is because she does not develop the worthiness early on in life that will keep her from reacting to the childhood trauma that she experiences with a narcissistic father. You know, never or very rarely do these type of fathers celebrate her for who she is or for her worth. And so she's forced to meet, like I said, impossible goals because, again, the narcissist is a goal shifter. And so that makes her believe that she's worthless. And these narcissistic fathers inflict psychological abuse that has long-lasting effects on their child. You know, one thing that I found interesting as I was reading up on this is that I came across an article, I believe in Psychology Today, that talked about the psychological damage that these fathers inflict on their daughters being sometimes equal to or even greater to the psychological damage and the emotional damage that is inflicted to a victim of sexual assault. And that took me aback because, as you know, I'm a victim of sexual assault. And so when I think about, how I've internalized or how I had internalized the emotions as a result of this, and to hear that a daughter of a narcissist has it equal or worse, it's kind of mind blowing because, It's just crazy. But the effects of this type of psychological abuse on these daughters is lifelong, or it has long lasting effects. And she becomes at risk for being depressed, often is suicidal, or actually does commit suicide, suffers from PTSD, as well as anxiety disorders, eating disorders, and substance abuse. One of the most tragic parts about this, in my opinion, is that the voice of her narc father continues to go on and on in her mind, because it becomes her inner critic. And so it becomes like a soundtrack that is stuck on repeat, and it cannot stop. Whenever she feels like she didn't get the bar or she missed the bar, that voice continues to play. And what happens in adulthood, you find that they blame themselves for everything, but understand that this is a pattern that she's been comfortable with for the majority of her life, if not all of her life. And so, that's where, again, we see the self-sabotaging behavior, the negative self-talk, and even the self-harm. The narcissistic father will also exploit all her accomplishments for his own ego's sake. Let's not forget the narcissist is a very egocentric or ego-driven person. They have a grandiose ego. So he will praise her in public for her accomplishments and even attach himself to them. Like, if anything great happens in your life, it's simply because the narcissist helped you. We know that's not the truth, but that's how they think. And so, while he may put her on a pedestal in public, in private, he is controlling and incredibly abusive. And not only is abuse verbal or psychological, there are many instances where this abuse is actually physical. Now, if you are somebody who resonates with this type of upbringing and these type of emotions and outcomes, let me tell you this, that your destiny is not defined by your nativity. It doesn't matter how you started out in life. You have the option and the opportunity to flip the script. You can turn this thing around and overcome. One of the very first steps in doing this is to actually identify your own goals and dreams and separate them from your narcissistic father, because a lot of the times they pressure you into choosing a particular career, choosing a particular school or college, university to go to, telling you where to work. Reconsider all of those things and make sure that you identify what part is yours and separate the narcissist's desires for you, the goals and the dreams that they set aside for you. Put those to the side and bring yours forward, because it's time to live your life. It's time to honor your dreams, your goals, your desires, so that you can tap out your potential. Also be sure that you pursue your dreams and you pursue your purpose, your goals, your calling, and go with passion, because I always say this, that you have one life. This is not a take one. This is it. And you want to be sure that you enjoy it, because you were never ever created to be a doormat for anybody. And it doesn't matter whether it's a parent, a romantic partner, a friend, a boss, whatever. You were not created to be the source of somebody else's fuel. You're a whole person with whole feelings, with whole vision and purpose, and you're in control of your life now. And so it's time to take the reign and bring you into focus by pursuing the things that truly make you happy, that truly make you filled, that truly ignite a fire in you. Celebrate your accomplishments and never minimize them. Never minimize them. For many people who are going no contact from toxic, from whatever toxic relationship, whether it's family or intimate, whatever it is, I always want to encourage you to celebrate the milestones. So if you have been no contact for a week, that's a big thing. That's a big step. Don't minimize that. Celebrate it. Celebrate the promotion. Celebrate being employee of the month. Celebrate getting up out of bed, because we know that sometimes it's hard. Celebrate losing 1 pound. Celebrate gaining 1 pound if that's your story. But don't ever minimize your accomplishments. Validate yourself and extend a lot of self-compassion to yourself. Recall the compliments that others have given you and take pride in all of your achievements. We are proud of you here, in case nobody told you that. Also, release yourself from the thought that you need to be perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect person. We are all imperfect individuals trying to do the very best in our lives. And because of this upbringing with somebody who has the bar set so high so that they can stomp you down, it feels like, you can't be perfect. And that's right, you can't. Nobody can. And it's okay. It's okay. Let that pressure fall. You don't need to carry the weight of that. That is a coat that you are wearing that is oversized, that is wet, that is too heavy. Drop it and release that dead weight. You don't have to be perfect to be accepted. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You don't have to be perfect to be supported. You just need to be yourself and be the authentic version of yourself, because that's who we want to celebrate. That's who we are proud of. That's who we are cheering on. So, just keep going and let that pressure go so that you really can know for yourself. Sometimes you've got to take that first step and do these things so that you can let go of the baggage. Another thing that I would suggest that you do is affirm yourself. Tell yourself that you're enough. But take it a step further and tell yourself that I've always been enough. Like, personalize it, put your name there. Joy, you have always been enough. Because you grew up thinking that, because of the narcissistic father, that you are not enough. But that's a lie. That's not true. You are enough. You always were enough. And they are just projecting that insecurity that they have, or the shame that they have on you, so that they can feel better about themselves. So it's really, at the end of the day, and in spite of how much pain it may have caused you, it was never really about you. It was about their feelings of shame and of not being enough. But you remind yourself that you are enough, and that's it, period. You're enough to be loved. You're enough to be accepted. You are enough to be great. And you also have the right to be cherished, loved, heard, seen, just as you are. You don't have to people please. You don't have to bend your boundaries. You don't have to lower your standards. You don't have to diminish yourself. Be yourself. Be the great woman that you've been called to be. Be the great mother. Be yourself and free yourself from false labels and false titles and false identities. They don't belong to you. Your narcissistic parent was simply not qualified to raise you correctly, because they have a self-love deficit, because they see themselves, in a different light, and they just simply try to project that onto you. So don't believe the lies that you've been told. Reaffirm yourself and really embrace this process. And I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you found something that resonates with you, that you will be able to take some of these tips or all of them and work on those areas of your life. Until next time, take care of yourself and take care of each other.